So every cell in our body wants to take in nourishment, every organ, and lets go of what it doesn't want. And it comes with the extra, goes through the membrane of the cell, goes through the lymph system, goes through the venous system, comes back to the heart. The only organ in the body which accepts all the junk that all the organs in every cell have excreted in the past, it's coming towards it, is the heart.
Let's ditch the quick fix and dive into today's conversation.
All right, welcome everybody. My guest today is Dr. Isaac Eliaz. Dr. Eliaz is a leading expert in the field of integrative medicine, specializing in cancer, detoxification, immunity, and complex conditions. He is a respected physician, researcher, best-selling author, educator, and mind-body practitioner. Dr. Eliaz partners with the research institutes, including Harvard, the National Institutes of Health, Columbia, and others to co-author studies on integrative therapies for cancer, heavy metal toxicity, and others. Cancers, infections, and other pathogens can develop resistance to treatment and even escape your body's immune defenses. Integrative medicine opens new doors to healing and individualized strategies that can outsmart even the most aggressive conditions.
And the most common thing, you get gluten sensitivity, celiac disease. So I'm sure you have patients, as I do,
Yes,
who go to Italy, say, oh my God, Isaac, I can eat pasta. I can eat bread. I have no side effects. Well, guess what? There's no glyphosate. It's illegal. Even in Mexico, it's illegal. So you get glyphosate, and then you get it in a formulation which is not regulated, with a lot of toxic stuff to create the fluid or the powder that you are using for the spraying. And if you look at a flat area and there's glyphosate sprayed in one place, it will go miles and miles across. So you can eat organic and grow it in your garden, especially if there's an uphill, things above you like vineyards, where
sure.
they don't want the grass between the lines of the of the grapes.
Right.
So they spray, and so it's inherent in us. And so I made it a point for that I really have to find a way to take it out. So I developed a very unique product called Glypho-Detox. But the way I work is that I research what I do. I don't just develop things until people use them. So I want to share the initial results from our trial.
Well, and that's what I was going to ask you. What is one of the ways to detox from glyphosate? I'm glad you're going to bring that up.
Right. So Glypho-Detox, if you can see, this is in people in areas with high glyphosate. So that's very high glyphosate. The normal average, around 1. This is like 3 or 4. All of these over 1.5. And you can see after 6 weeks of taking Glypho-Detox twice a day, the dramatic decrease in glyphosate levels in the urine. So the reason why it's so effective is because I combine a unique thinking about it. So my philosophy is, if you look at glyphosate, it affects our water, it affects our plants, and as a result, our meat, and it affects our earth. But there is a balance, there's a wisdom in our existence, And so there are always solutions from these kingdoms. So I took fulvic acid from Sheila G, which is a substance that is distilled over tens of millions of years through the mountains,
right,
and has remarkable capacity to, 1, bind glyphosate and other toxin, 2, stabilize the gut lining, and 3, reduce neuroinflammation and enhance normal mitochondrial function. So this represents the healing from the earth. I took kelp, which has alginates, but also has minerals and proteins. So it has a nourishing effect, but it also has a detoxification effect for glyphosate and for other toxins. It provides iodine in small amount, organic iodine, bioavailable, that can exchange with fluoride, with chloride, with bromides, which are also present, especially bromide as a pesticide, support thyroid function. And then I took regular citrus pectin, not modified, because I want to bind to the mycotoxin and pesticide in the gut. And then into this, I also added the glycine, of course, to replace the glutathione, and alginates is really helping this whole absorption. And yeah, we are seeing great results. We are especially seeing good results when you combine it with the modified citrus pectin.
That's what I was just going to ask. Is it beneficial to combine it?
Absolutely.
And it's from what I'm reading so far with what you're doing, yeah, the modified citrus pectin helps break down those biofilms as well, right?
Exactly. So you got the reduction of inflammation, the reduction of the survival with inflammatory response. You got the modulation of the inflammation, of the cytokine storm, and then you got so now there is less of a reactivity, and then you got the glyphodetox coming in and helping to bind all of these. And so it's interesting, for some people, their gut gets better. For many people, their brain, their thinking gets better. And so there are solutions. We just have to be able to find them.
Yeah, and again, it just reiterates that connection between the gut and the brain, the mind gut kind of connection. If you've listened to this podcast, you know how often ozone therapy comes up. I personally have the Simply O3 Complete Kit and use it as a preventative measure or when I come down with something. So whether it's ozone therapy at home or in your clinic, Simply O3 has equipment for your needs. If you are healing chronic illness or biohacking for optimal health, Simply O3 will make getting started with ozone therapy super easy. Go to simplyO3.com or call 844-655-2524. Use code FIX to get 10% off. That's www.simplyo as in oxygen 3.com. One of the things in your book, I can't remember which chapter, I think it might be 14 or 16 or somewhere in there, but I know on page 179, you do a nice little graph there that shows what your, basic detox process is, where you're, kind of, I think 5 steps in that process to reduce the inflammation, dissolve the biofilms, bind the toxins. In fact, you're probably bringing that up. Yep, there you go. I think that's just a great little tool there.
Right. So detoxification is a profound concept that we often go to details with really understanding. We detoxify all the time. Every time we exhale, we let go, we detoxify. Every time we inhale, we nourish.
Right.
Well, exhalation takes twice as long as inhalation. We come to this world, we detoxify, we exhale and we give a cry. We leave this world, we exhale and we leave our body. So the letting go is foundational to our being. So when we understand it, we understand, okay, we need to help detoxification on an ongoing basis. And in the chapter, I go in detail about it. But when we do a more concerted effort about detoxification, we really want to put some time. And the first part is preparation. So this is more on a biochemical, on a physiological level. You want to start changing your diet, so you are in a good position to detoxify. But we also want to think, what do you want to get rid of? What do you want to let go of? And then, if we want to detoxify, we got to expose. We got to open the areas that we want to change, and that's why something like pectisol or binders, things that peel off, peelers that allow the body to really expose, but also you want to support the immune surveillance, medicinal mushrooms, different compounds, herbs. And then when you want to bind the toxin, prevent the reabsorption. So for example, pectisol, glyphodetox, a great example. And you want to bind toxin in the circulation and tissue, pectisol will serve, but then you have to help the discharge and elimination, phase 1, phase 2, and there are multiple formulas that really do this. And you have to and then people have to understand, to detoxify, you need energy. So you want to use different compounds that help us to build energy to detoxify. You want to prevent reabsorption of toxins while you are detoxifying, and that's why pesticides like the glyphodetox is so important. and you want to really treat well your gut. And the reason why I like fermented symbiotic drinks, not just bacteria in a capsule, is because they have life in them. They have energy in them. You know, for example, we have a unique pre-probiotic that is grown biodynamically on 20 different organic herbs.
Okay.
Because some pectisol inside that it grows on. So it has a really healing effect on the gut. So this is a little bit of an holistic approach to really understanding
the detox.
And within it, there is physical detoxification. There's letting go of toxins. There's an emotional detoxification. There is, a mental, a psychological, and a psycho-spiritual. People who go over detox really get some profound insights, in different cultures, different religions, different spiritual paths. There's always, fasting integrated, right?
Sure.
We let go of the digestion, we let go of taking in things. And now we have an opportunity to really peel off and look a little bit deeper. And in the book, I touch the different layers. And so the interesting thing about detoxification, that we have a dialogue between generating toxins and detoxifying them.
And eliminating.
Exactly. So we eliminate, but we always generate. And that's how our body functions on an ordinary level. But we have one organ in our body that functions differently. So every cell in our body wants to take in nourishment, every organ, and lets go of what it doesn't want. And it comes with goes through the membrane of the cell, goes through the lymph system, goes through the venous system, comes back to the heart. The only organ in the body which accepts all the junk that all the organs in every cell have excreted in the past, it's coming towards it, is the heart. The heart doesn't say, I'm not going to accept your dirty blood. No. It accepts blood from everywhere with an open heart. Doesn't matter if it's from the liver, from the kidney, from the brain, right? And what does it do? It connects with the universe, it connects with the infinity. People who are more into prayers and connecting with the greater being, we talked a little bit about it. Yeah, our drama is not as big in the infinite, timeless space. Right. And as long as we respect the environment, then the environment will be very kind to us. It will take what we don't want to do, it will give us clean air. There will be an exchange in the lungs, and then the heart provides nourishment without discrimination. The aorta is a stiff artery, but the heart cannot give clean blood without getting dirty blood. And that's the transformative quality of the heart. So we do it physiologically, that's why we're alive. And interesting, the heart nourishes itself only after it finishes its work. That's the selfless quality of the heart. The coronary arteries are outside the heart in the beginning of the aorta, but the heart nourishes itself first in order to nourish others and as part of nourishing others. And that's self-love as part of loving others. Very different than a narcissistic approach. So the major thing why I'm sharing this is an insight that I had when I meditated. It's how we are built. So of course, if we understand it and we start shifting our mind into heartfulness, instead of being stuck in our mind, in the ego-driven reactivity,
right,
then our response to stimulus is an open heart, it's tolerance, it's understanding, it's acceptance, it's compassion. Right. And when this happens, anything can happen. And why? It doesn't matter what kind of dirty blood comes in. The heart is still going to give clean blood.
Yeah, I love that. I love that analogy. Just to sneak in here just for a second, the design of the heart is amazing. But then, the total design of the body, is just totally amazing. And I really appreciate how you're transitioning into, a little bit of another topic we want to cover here today. And ultimately that is the ability to, you can't always control what stressors you're going to get hit with, but you can have an opportunity to choose how to react. And the heart the analogy that you're painting is doing it just automatically. It is doing it in a symphony kind of way. It's going to get all the junk and it just cleans it out every second of every day. How do we get there with our minds? And that kind of takes us there to that meditation and prayer that, and in that you share a really, heartwarming story of your grandparents. Your grandmother had a specific type of reaction to her time in the Holocaust, and your grandfather different. So why don't you take us down that road just a little bit?
Yeah, so with people, the most common popular meditation, mindfulness, we try to control our mind so we're not reactive, we create more space. And so we are not as reactive, but it's an ongoing work because we are programmed to survive, to react. But it's very important, it has big physiological benefits. But once we have some training in it, in the book, I don't go in detail into the training about the heart because it's really called open heart medicine. It's really it's really my contribution to this field of meditation of healing. After decades of unique training, I had the opportunity to be the doctor and the student really of the most legendary meditation masters in the Himalayas for many years in the late 90s, early 2000s. They're not alive anymore. One of them is late 90s. So I got to study with these great masters, but also I got to see their healing capacity. And they gave me very unique instruction and specifically asked me to share the ability of meditation to heal in the West. And now that's why I'm on these talks. So we got to connect with our heart because you said it's automated physiologically. So it's much easier to put our attention into it. And just like the heart exchanges things that are difficult, things that we're trying to get rid of, that cause us pain and suffering in every cell in the body, and turn them into nourishment, into love and compassion, we can do it mentally. And that's an exercise of exchanging suffering and difficulty with love and compassion, which you see in every single religion, right? Which is well developed. You see the idea of having compassion for others, having compassion for yourself. So this really coincides with our physiology, with who we are. That's really the journey of life is to connect. In Kabbalah, you talk it's the fixing, the tikkun. This is a divine within us, right? People who follow. I'm trained in multiple systems, but the idea that we are in Hebrew, it says you are created in the image of God.
Image bearers.
Exactly. So this image, this quality of divine is in every cell in our body, which means we can get back to it. So it can be meditation, it can be prayer, if we can really let go of the prayer, which means we pray, but we don't pray with expectation. We don't do a deal like, okay, I'm going to pray, and then I'm going to make money, I'm going to be healthy. No, because then there's the ego trying to get something. If we pray of understanding, wow, we are caught in this survival-driven, ego-driven, very narrow pinpoint view on life.
Right.
But nothing is pinpointed. Everything is impermanent. Everything is changing all the time. And that's really this divine principle everywhere, in the past, in the present, in the future, in time. So when we connect with this, we understand, wow, if everything is changeable, not everyone is going to be a miracle, but anyone can be a miracle. Because if everything changes, everything is possible. So in the book, I tell my story from a very early age, having like pressure and pain in the middle of my chest. I now breathe very hard and I don't feel anything. And I knew it's not mine, it's something weird. And then only years, my grandmother died at 98 and my grandfather died at 50 from stomach cancer. And only at her grave, my mother mentioned, 10 out of his 12 siblings were killed by Hitler. She never bothered to tell us this. He never talked about it.
Right.
Couldn't stomach it. He got cancer. And when I did my meditation and psychology and emotional healing, and the sense of forgiveness and letting go, this pain went away. And I didn't tell my mother about it, but because I healed back to my grandfather, this is the epigenetic healing backward,
Right.
my mother suddenly was able to watch movies about the Holocaust. She could, in her 80s, she could never watch all her life, because once I healed backward, it went, because we are all interconnected. You know, the electromagnetic field of our heart is bigger than our body. So it affects every cell in our body. That's the power of the open heart medicine, but it also affects people around us. So this is really, yeah. So this is really why ditch the quick fix, you know, exactly. Just connect with this flow, which is timeless, which you know, which is so interdependent.
Yes.
And wow, it's remarkable. And you know, we all have our stories how we're able to heal, right?
Yeah, it's amazing, and I really appreciate that. I share you know, that basic concept of life eternal, really, and the connectedness of us all, and the body's energy, and you know how we interconnect, and so it's really huge, and it's such an important part of our well-being. And I've been living that understanding for years, and it's still difficult to, you know, kind of really engage and receive, you know, the healing potential from prayer and meditation.
Yeah, it's actually humbling, because why? Because our inherent innate tendency to go to this survival, ego-driven, holding fixation, right? That you see why it's a paradigm shift from the point of thinking about health. But what we are touching today, which I don't touch in such depth often, we are actually touching the survival paradox and how we can dissolve even the survival paradox by connecting with this very deep, infinite, you know, timeless quality where everything is changing and everything is possible. And that's the power of healing. And it's within every cell in our body. That's the amazing thing.
Well, and I'll ask you this, you know, as I'm listening and in preparation, you know, this particular part of it, it's kind of like what you're saying too, is that it really brings a balance into the survival reality, because it's okay to run away from a lion. You just don't have to be afraid of the lion if he's not there all the time. And if you can kind of get used to how do you deal with the lion, right? Because it's an important part of our survival to have a survival mode.
Absolutely.
But it is a catch-22, as you say in your book, right?
Yeah, totally. So we have, and Galectin 3 helps us with starting the process. We just can't turn off the alarm. That's
right. It's out of balance.
Right. And the heart is the place where it brings us back. But then if we got a lot of toxins, pesticides, heavy metals, mycotoxins, traumas, injuries, scars, bad genetic, epigenetic, we got a few obstacles that we have to deal with. And that's why it's beyond the quick fix. We have to change all of these, and we have to give it time. And one thing that is, as a summary, it's like we have these veils of obstacles, of conditions that limit our infinite healing potential. Some of us have only 1 or 2 veils. It goes very quickly. Some of us have 100 veils, and we don't know how many more we are left. But once you leave the last one, the darkness is gone, because there's always light. This infinite quality is always there. We as individuals are just not able to see it. It doesn't mean that it's not there. So some people find gold very quickly, and some people have to dig for a long time. But gold is gold, no matter if you find it quickly or you find it slowly. And so that's really the true healing. That's really the healing that our life offers us, which is a choice.
Right.
It's just alive. That's our biological survival, our heart physiological. It gives us a door to go through a much deeper journey, but that's our own personal choice. For people who do it, they will know, as you know, without it, life is missing something, right? It's not it.
Exactly.
If we are not connected to it, they'll think we are crazy. But it's okay, it's okay. We just share our hearts, and whoever connects to it. Because when you share your heart, when I talk, when you talk, people feel, this is genuine. This is coming from my heart,
Right.
So at some point, like when I talk to you, my talking and my thinking doesn't come from the head. It comes from my heart. Actually, I think in my heart. Not all the time, because I get lost, just like we talk. But like right now, it's so interesting for me. I talk, and the process of thinking is here. It's not here. So then everything starts. So then when you talk to people, there's a quality of healing, because you are talking to them from your heart, from this place that is opened. And that's the gift of being a healer, of being a doctor, that you are able to offer this to people. And the more you are trained in it, you don't have to think about it. It's who you are, it's because it's who everybody is. It's our true nature.
Right. Yeah, it's truly the kind of the comment that's made often. Most patients, and mine are included in that, and I'm sure yours are as well. They're not necessarily so. The focus isn't on how much you know; it's how much you care. And when you care, it'll reveal the little bit that you know. I'm saying that for myself, because in reality, I keep learning and I keep realizing just how much I don't know. And I'm so blessed by you and others that continue to teach and to share. But ultimately, the heart is the communication. How can I try to help you? And if you convey that, that's what the patient really needs. And if you can give them some encouragement, so that's a good take-home point that you've kind of shared. How about maybe one more or two more good take-home points?
I think that it's really important to recognize that because everything is changeable, everything is possible. And the idea that anyone can be a miracle is not just a phrase. It really is. I was very, very sick less than 2 months ago. And here I am, totally healthy, fully active. And so it's possible. And the other thing is that we have to address a multifaceted approach. We have to address toxins of all kinds. We have to address our physiology. We have to address our environment. And each of us have their own journeys, their own solutions. Prescribed protocols, dogmatic thinking works for a certain percentage. That's the bell curve. But if you're out of the bell curve, you need something different. And because everything is changeable, there is always an option. There is always a choice. There's always something else that can be done. And this gives rise to optimism. So I think these are a few more things I would like to share. And Survival Paradox really, really helpful. It's worthwhile. It's a read that is worthwhile.
Definitely. Very much so. Yeah, and I totally agree. So any more thoughts that you've got right there to share?
I share a lot in my newsletter. People go to dreliaz.com.
Okay.
I have 2 full-time writers that actually help me for many years. But one of the things, maybe the last thing, is that because we live in such a sympathetic stress, with inflammation, with the media overbearing and disinformation and separation and so much, conflict and hatred in the world, we are still surviving. So our body has adjusted to survive in such a hostile environment, which means that when we change our environment to a healthy environment, we can heal much quicker than we would have healed 200 years ago, when everything was more peaceful in nature to begin with. And that's the power of healing that can be expedited in these times. So that's the one thing. The quality of survival gives us a window to do things in a different way, to avoid the survival paradox damage and actually heal. And that's really another important understanding.
Awesome. Yeah, so we're kind of wrapping up here, and I just love what you've shared today. I highly recommend the book Survival Paradox, and it is a good read. It's definitely worthwhile. And you've got some good appendix information there to help people on some of the possible pathways of helping them become their own health advocate, because that's another part of this podcast, is we really want people to become their best health advocate. We need to be our best health advocate. And so where else, say again how people can follow up with you one more time.
They can go to dreliaz.com, dreliaz.com. If they want to find more information about modified citrus pectin, they can go to pectasol.com. And they can go to survivalparadox.com and they can find about the book, or you can go to Amazon and get the book. But my idea, in my third act is it's about sharing these decades of training that I have with as many people as possible.
And I think Econugenics, did you mention that as well?
Yeah, I didn't, but yes. Econugenics is a company that why I developed all of these products, definitely.
Yeah. So, all right, boy. Well, I thank you so much for joining us today, Dr. Eliaz, and I just want everybody to take advantage of this information and follow up. And I've been blessed by it, and so everybody, I hope you have a blessed day.